All right, everybody. Welcome to Badge and Banter. Sorry, guys, for the guests in here. That might have been kind of loud for them. I didn't warn them. I apologize. So we are coming at you here from Cameron University. I'm your host, Charlie Whittington, and we talk about Badge and Banter. What is it about? We talk about police work. We talk about things going on in our community, our culture as police officers, and we bring in special guests. To my left, not like you guys can see, but it's all audio right now.
Fair.
We have Miss Terri Lee, and I asked the other day for your exact title, and you said Executive Director, right? Was that?
Yes.
Executive Director of Taliaferro.
Yes.
And so that's here in Lawton. And then across from you is Sergeant Timothy Jenkins.
Yep, I'm here.
And you are the training
Academy coordinator.
Yes.
Yes,
And then immediately to your left, across from me, would be Captain Ryan Studebaker. Studley Baker. Studebaker. Yes. And you are the captain over day shift, correct?
Yes.
All right. Well, I guess you guys could tell us a little bit about yourselves before we get started. Let people know who they're talking to. So we can draw straws. Timmy, you get go first.
Timothy Jenkins. I've been at LPD for about almost 14 years in March, so pretty long time. I've done a variety of things since I've been on the department. I just recently accomplished one of my goals, which was graduating with my master's in psychology. So that was huge for me because I preach after you leave somewhere, you always have something as a backup plan to your next career. So I got my next career in the works, hopefully, get that done. But right now I'm the academy coordinator. I work out at the training division. I'm responsible for hiring and also teaching incoming officers how to be police officers for when they get to LPD, and I'm working in the community.
Excellent. Miss Terri, you want to go next?
I'll go next. I am the executive director at Taliaferro. We serve all of southwest Oklahoma. We're in Lawton. We have satellites in Altus and Duncan, and our programs just continue to grow and grow. I've been here in Lawton. I came when COVID hit. So 2020?
Oh, wow. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It was all my fault. Mm-hmm. It was all my fault. It was not a good time to come and join.
Well, that's as long as we've known each other then.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
very true.
I didn't realize
thought
that you
you
were
knew.
that new to
Yeah.
this area.
Well, you're welcome. Look who you met, the three of us right off the
Yeah.
bat.
Imagine that.
So, and then, so last but certainly not least, the captain, Ryan Studebaker.
So,
I'm his hype man.
well, I guess I graduated here from Cameron, so kind of a shout out to them. Back in 2002, I graduated from here. Got hired on the police department.
Cameron alum.
The next year after, I want to say about 6 months later, I got hired on the Lawton Police Department in 2003. Been on the department for a little over 21 years. Currently a captain, watch commander on day shift. I'm over the CIT program. I'm also the crisis negotiator commander. I do some of the highway safety grants. Trying to think. Here recently, I went through the FBI National Academy. Graduated through that.
yeah.
That's
Yep.
very cool.
Yep.
We have a lot of uppers that have gone through the National Academy, FBI.
I think I'm number 4 on the department right now.
Good for you. That's a
wow.
fun. We may have to do
Yeah.
a totally separate show on that
very
one.
True.
Yeah, and then I took classes through Virginia University while I was attending that to get it was a certificate, a master's certificate, not a degree, but it worked. Basically, I was able to get halfway through my master's degree while attending the FBI National Academy.
How awesome is that? I didn't realize that was so. I mean, I know you got credits and everything for that when you were there, but you said shout out to Cameron, and yeah, I mean, look, this is a pretty good studio. I love it.
This wasn't here when I attended.
Yeah, and it's getting bigger and better. I know when we asked about this, and they said, "Come on, let's do it," and so we give them their praise for letting us utilize this to get our messages out there. So it's really cool. The last couple episodes, we've talked to some officers, and we've talked about their hobbies and things of that nature, and we'll discuss all that too. Ryan, you mentioned CIT, And so for our listeners, that's crisis intervention training. Sergeant Jenkins, you're actually wearing a crisis intervention training instructor shirt.
I am.
All of us have those, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So that's what we're going to kind of discuss today, back and forth in our banter. But Timmy, I'm trying to decide if I'm going to call you guys like Sergeant Jenkins
No, I'm Timmy.
or Tim.
Tim, whenever, yes, sir.
or
Either one's fine with me.
Little Timmy Whittington.
I'll
Because
take that too.
you're
That's-
adopted.
That's number 2.
Yes,
sir. Yeah.
yes. I know when
take
when
that
I got promoted to lieutenant, Tim is with us in one of the pictures with my dad and my brothers and Tim and myself, and they were like, "Who's that guy in the picture?" And I was like, "That's Tim. He's my brother."
Can you see the
You know,
resemblance?
and they laugh, and I was like, "No, he's like my dad told him. He's like, you are an adopted
He
brother
did.
because you and
He
Matt
did.
went to the academy
We
together.
did. Yes, sir. Yep.
Um,
Way back when.
The fastest man alive.
I don't know about the fastest, man, but I'm up there. I'm
You-
top 2.
Are you still fast?
Not 2. I am still fast. Yes.
Yeah.
I
good.
would bet I'm still fast.
Yeah, I don't.
Not as fast, but fast.
How
Yeah.
old are you now?
36, just turned it. So
You don't look 36.
thank you. I feel 18.
Ryan, how old are you?
45.
He's like, Dad,
I was actually
Charlie.
thinking
Yeah,
on the way
yeah.
in here when I was walking. Of course, I'm in dress shoes now, but when I was walking down the sidewalk, I was like, my knees don't feel like they did when I was here last. The last time I walked down this sidewalk, I don't remember it hurting like this.
Yeah. No, yeah, I bet.
I was like, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. When you had to get that little blue pass on your car. The
Yeah,
little-
yeah.
Yep.
I was worried about that too. I was like, I don't have a
I was too.
parking
permit.
pass.
That's
It'll be
funny.
fine.
I
Well,
was too.
on the way in here, they were doing construction by the field, so I had to turn all the way back around, and then I forgot they have that roundabout at the Sheplers now, the centers, and so I had to go around the other way over by the McCaslin Ballroom, had to
Yep.
and come around off of the backside of the Shepler buildings. So that was for my hiatus, and I apologize. Oh, and also I brought hot chocolate like I promised.
That's the
Like I
best.
promised.
Yeah. Well, I told her when we were going to do this episode about crisis intervention training and Taliaferro and our partnerships and everything. I told her I would bring her a coffee, and then I remembered I was like, oh yeah, she doesn't drink coffee. She drinks hot chocolate.
I do.
So, if so facto, hot chocolate from Viridian. There you are.
It's the best.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Timmy, I'm sorry I didn't go and get you
I was thinking that.
hyped
It's
up
fine.
drink,
It's
but you don't
fair.
drink coffee
I
either.
don't drink coffee either. And I need all the energy, so
I'm sorry, guys.
that's fair. It's fine.
I have failed.
Yep.
I failed.
It's
I
fine.
apologize.
It happens.
It's
Today.
really good. By the
Today.
way.
Did you guys hear that sound? It's Timmy's hero falling.
Falling out the sky.
I hit the ground. I apologize. Yeah. So, like I was saying, Timmy, you got hired on with Matt in the academy, and we have our own academy,
Yes.
and you guys are steadily working that as the Lawton Police Department. I just came from that division, so I know
Yes.
it's a difficult task to run an academy, to oversee them, to be in charge of the training.
24-hour day, 7
And-
days a week.
Yeah, but you guys just recently switched. I guess your next academy is going to 10-hour days?
We are going to 10-hour days. So if you are obviously looking to apply, you have to wait till the next academy. But for the incoming cadets that we have now, would be 10-hour days, Tuesday through Friday.
So they can apply.
They can
now,
apply,
but it won't be
yes.
until probably August.
Yes,
Probably
yes,
is the
sir.
next academy.
Yep. We're looking
So-
at August 25.
Will there be somebody in the office on Monday?
Yes. So we're going to rotate out who will be there on Monday. So if you're still looking to come in and ask, somebody will be there Monday to answer questions, answer the phone, things of that
Okay.
nature. But as far as the academy itself will not be in session on Mondays.
And then our training facility, for those that don't know, is at the vocational center on Southwest Lee at VOTEC, Great Plains Technology Center, and they're in the 900 building.
Yep.
So it's right across from the fire department's training side. There's an 800
Mhm.
building, so which is right down the road from Taliaferro, where Terry works.
Yep.
So all relevant
All
and
in-
close.
All in
So-
one area, pretty much.
We all have the, I guess, the passion, the drive. Obviously, Terry, that's your bread and butter, and your, I guess, meat and potatoes as with Taliaferro, and helping with individuals. Because for Southwest Oklahoma, all we have is Taliaferro, correct?
As a community mental health center.
For the
yes.
mental health center, yeah. And a few years ago, I know that myself and Timmy and Ryan signed up to do crisis intervention training. And I know we linked up with Corey Sutton for Oklahoma Department of Mental Health and Tanya.
Tanya
Woods?
Woods.
Yes, and she's at Moore.
Yes.
She's their licensed mental health professional for their police department, I believe.
Mhm.
And so they came down and they actually taught our crisis intervention training school for our officers. I think there was about 12.
Yeah, I was going to say also we met Tanya at crisis negotiation school.
I don't talk about crisis negotiations.
We'll get there.
We get there.
We'll get there.
Timmy, you're a crisis negotiator now, right?
Debatable.
I mean, recently, right?
But yes, sir, I've
Didn't
been
you?
selected.
You have to go to the school still. Congratulations.
Thank
I
you,
wonder
thank
how
you,
that
thank
came
you.
available, but
I do
good
wonder.
for you. Good for you. So yeah, Timmy's will be a great negotiator. I guarantee it. And just in our conversations and when the way you interact with the community is just phenomenal.
Oh, absolutely. I love people. That's why I do what I do.
He's humble too.
I love people. I love people.
I know you do.
Just love people.
I know you do. Ryan and I got selected to go to that school a couple years ago, probably like in 18 or 19.
Yeah, I was going to say more than a couple.
Yeah. Well, I say a couple. There's a couple people in this room.
Yeah.
But maybe 18 or 19, and then
Sounds
we went
right.
through. And I know why Ryan got selected. I mean, talking to the mic and people just his kind of
Soothe you with
McConaughey soothing,
with my small town
That's a good
voice.
one.
very white.
McConaughey, yes. I'm very white, but
Yeah,
McConaughey,
okay.
absolutely.
He's like,
That's-
yeah, I need you to come out and talk to us. All right.
yeah, that's
All right. Yeah, he's
all right.
hey, play some bongos. I know, and I love it. So you, myself, and Detective Rucker went
Yes.
through with Tanya. Tanya was on our team for when we got up to the FBI Academy school.
I was
And,
trying to remember who all was on Team 3.
Tony Gonzalez.
Was he on our team?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm trying to remember the guy's name from Norman. Was he on our team?
No,
I saw him the other day at the FBI.
Harry Bryant.
no, for the FBI Academy, not the crisis intervention.
Gotcha.
But this, as far as on our side of it, I think that the gift of gab and the gift of listening is probably the one that we all possess. And then that's what kind of led us into I think negotiating would probably say what led me into crisis intervention training.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we were as negotiators, Team 3, and we got to talking about crisis intervention training. And I don't know how the class came about, but it was just there. We hosted it. Corey Sutton came down. Tanya came down, and we're instructing it. And we were all in the same class on that, correct?
I
And then
believe so.
Terry, you went through did you go through?
She went to the instructor school.
Instructor
with us,
school with us.
Yes.
in Norman.
Yes.
That was our teach back.
It was teach back. Yep.
I remember.
Okay.
That. Yeah, that was our teach back.
Yep.
So, for our viewers, crisis intervention training is for somebody who is in crisis, for someone who is in a mental health crisis. We have officers that are trained in crisis intervention. And as I look at Timmy's shirt, it's an instructor shirt. But yeah, we're trained in that, and we're trained to de-escalate that situation. And as of now, I know that we put that one on. We're getting officers in. I don't know how many do we have now.
I was trying to think of that number. I want to say we've put probably 40.
That was my
I'm
number.
guessing like
That was
40
my number.
officers through CIT.
Yeah. Yeah, and then those officers are scattered out throughout the divisions.
Yeah.
And then we developed a partnership with Terri, and you came on board as an instructor as well. So for Southwest Oklahoma, we instruct CIT now. Timmy, myself, Ryan, and a few others. And then we now are Tanya for the board. So when Terri came down, and she teaches everything as far as the mental health portion of it, because we officers are not mental health professionals. And I know that in this partnership, we have worked a lot with Taliaferro, and I know you guys have helped to build that bridge with us.
Yes, absolutely. The CIT piece for the officers is critical. It makes such a world of difference.
And other things I know that we've developed along the way, the tablets have come in handy too. We have iPads. You want to tell?
So I don't remember the year, but we,
It was probably after 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Well,
imagine so.
probably right at
Around that.
2020.
That's what I was thinking.
I would think.
I was thinking
because-
around
it was my
2020.
first year here.
Yeah.
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 So we Department of Mental Health supplied law enforcement across the state with iPads that would call directly into our triage units, so they could get, if they're out in the field and somebody needs evaluated, we could get someone on the tablet and evaluate them in the field. excuse me, they don't have to bring them in. They don't have to fight with them. It's just like, here, take this. I'm going to walk away. They do their evaluation, and then we go from there. And it's worked really well. I mean, except when it hasn't, right?
Yeah.
Because there's some times that they don't work. There's some that they were supposed to be unbreakable. Well, they're breakable.
Figure out how to break
We'll
them.
find a way.
People
Yeah.
find a way.
Yeah, we did. A few have been crushed. So
Apple Care.
which is fine. I mean, that's fine. It's okay. It allows us to reach a lot more people, and it allows law enforcement to get back to doing the things that they need to do.
It's also easier to convince people to take the tablet compared to I need to take you to talk to somebody, and people don't want to do that. And you're like, well, would you at least talk to somebody on this tablet? You don't have to leave your living room. You don't have to do anything. Or I can hand it through your door to you if you don't even want to open the door and talk to me. You can just, here you go, here's the iPad, talk to somebody. And if you do that, at least that helps everybody out, and then we can figure out where we stand. And that was, to me, the most important and valuable part of it.
Yeah.
Well, like a lot of people would see a police car and they're thinking that stigma of like, oh, I'm in a police car, criminal. You know,
Yeah.
the mental health world, it's okay to not be okay. But
Right.
I think that for someone in crisis, that relief of that tablet, being able to talk to a mental health professional, just a provider right there
Right.
without us, makes them feel a whole lot better. I know, Timmy, you've done a lot of your hours and stuff with Taliaferro as well for your master's degree.
100%, yes, sir. And even then, like I said, doing on the tablet, you can see a different sense of, obviously I've been on both sides of it, but I can see a different sense of that person that I go to the house and talk to them in uniform, you know, sitting there talking to them in uniform, standing there, and what they're willing to tell and say. But looking with the tablet side of it, sitting behind the tablet talking to me, I get more information out of them because they're not seeing that police officer. They're not seeing that, like you said, that stigma, that belief of, well, if I say something too much, I may go to jail.
Yeah.
They don't know they're not going to go to jail, but that's how they feel. So having just that normal person, that doctor, that therapist on the other end, listening and talking to them, telling them those things, it just opens up a whole different world for that person. They're not going to want to tell a cop something if they can talk to a doctor and tell that doctor and get a whole different dynamic. So.
Well, and we've as police officers have had to make that adjustment, you know, moving into 2020 and then coming through with COVID. But 2024, the mental health world was not something that I know when I got into this in 04, Ryan, you in 03, Timmy in 11?
2011, yes, sir.
I would never have thought that we would be working this much in a mental health field and or profession, being law enforcement. We are first responders, and first responders to whether that be whatever it is. You know,
Burglary.
yeah, and then it could turn into a mental health call.
Absolutely.
It could turn into, and then we're not mental health professionals, so we need the assistance. So I know that when I made the phone call, we talked with Terri, and then said, hey, here's what we're looking at doing. And it was all hands on deck at that point.
Absolutely.
And then you got to meet Timmy Jenkins.
I did. Like, for real. I'd seen him on our unit.
Yes,
Before
yes,
that.
yes, ma'am. I remember that.
That's
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
HIPAA.
It was
not in that regard.
Well, then
that
we
was
were.
a good one.
I want to say, was it? You really got to sit down because you and I had conversations stuff before, but then just to meet these guys, I know was in Norman. We all went out.
Yep.
We all went out to dinner one
Yep.
night, and it was Tim, myself, Ryan. I don't think that you were there that night when. I don't know.
I don't
you
think
were.
he was.
He was.
No, he did not
Okay.
because he.
Yeah, you were
with
out
your
and
wife.
about. Yeah.
Yes.
Who else was up? One of the instructors up there.
We had officers from all over.
Yeah.
Different agencies though, from being
Yeah.
getting their teach backs in. So it was
And
a lot
then
of
I know Sarah was there
Sarah.
from Moore, and her dog Leo was running around. That doodle mix dog. God,
mixed up.
love that dog. And then Carrie was there.
Yep.
He's retired now.
Yep.
And then Corey now is his job for the state. I think he's either doing the directing or what is
Didn't he take over Tanya's position?
I think
that's
so.
what he did.
I think so. I know but his passion is for that too, and he was with us on that. And anytime we've had questions, we call and talk to him, and he is Johnny on the spot
Man,
for
very,
answers.
very, very receptive. And
But I think that overall, in the community, getting to, like I said before, us as officers having to respond to these kind of calls. CIT is imperative.
Yes.
The crisis intervention training, and we've put officers through it, I think 3 or 4 that we've put on, and we'll continue to when we have the availability. It's a week-long course. It's 40 hours. But I know that our last one, I think we taught 2 Lawton Public Schools.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
ED.
It was
We
really
did.
And that was a good one. That was a really good one because, as far as the mental health, I think the more that we teach, the better in that crisis intervention training.
Well, and the thing is, with CIT, the kids fall through the cracks. And so having the officers that are at the high schools, middle schools, elementaries even, that are certified at CIT, they can now talk to those kids, see those signs, and help steer them in directions. But very early, and that's the good thing. So when we did the Law Public Schools, I was very happy to see that because, again, kids fall through the cracks. So, yes, it's great to have that aspect of it now in our community to where our children can now get the treatment and help they need.
Yeah.
I think we have iPads at a lot of the schools as well.
Yeah, I know that they were. That was one of the main questions when they come up is like, hey, how do we get iPads? And I was like, direct you right to Terry, and we'll see what we can get through. And then smaller agencies, I've had them call me too. The ones that we've had instructed, they'll call me like, hey, Charlie, I'm kind of got this situation, and they'll explain it to me. And then I get them to who they need to, because obviously, like I said, we're not licensed mental health professionals, but we know enough to get them where they need to go. And Ryan, you recently took over as far as for the CIT for LPD and housing all of those guys and girls. That was recent, correct?
Yeah, probably within the last year.
Have you?
Like that.
And we've had a lot of people pretty receptive to it on the department. We've had a lot of people want to go onto those as well. And I think as far as
onto the team,
onto that. But I think I would say almost a prerequisite. But I think it definitely helps to become a negotiator is CIT. I think that is
you need I think so you need to go through CIT training. To me, should be sort of a prerequisite
and you're also
to be a crisis negotiator.
When you're also over crisis negotiations.
Correct. And that's how I kind of fell into this in a way was I was selected to go into crisis negotiation.
I remember that.
And then CIT never even heard of it, and then all of a sudden it comes up, and we're hearing CIT a lot, and we're like, I don't know what this is about. And I think you approached me, Charlie, and you were like, hey, do you want to go through this CIT school? And I'm like, well, what's it about? And you're explaining it to me, and it had a lot of de-escalation in it. And when you talk about de-escalation, that's what catches my attention, because that's what we're all about.
You and I also went through de-escalation instructor school in
somewhere in Texas, wasn't it?
No, we were in Oklahoma.
Was it?
Yeah, they had barbecue, so I could see where it would be confusing. But it was good barbecue. It was were we in Tuttle or were somewhere up?
It was just the. Did you go?
He was supposed to go.
I was supposed to go. Yes,
he couldn't go.
Just the two of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like Will Smith and his boy, his son. Just the two of us.
Just the two of us.
You and I.
I caught it.
There's been a lot of things that Charlie and I have been involved in. We were he was kind of my right hand man on a lot of the teams that I run. So like crisis negotiation, he was the lieutenant on that.
It was.
He went through all the training schools with me, through CIT, through de-escalation. So everything that I'm an instructor in, he's an instructor in. And then he had to go off and take this PIO position and get kicked out of all those teams.
You say kicked out. I just
voluntold to be.
There was a fork in the road.
Yeah.
Bowed out gracefully.
And there was a barricade in front of one of the forks.
It was a big barricade.
Here's the thing though. Our supervision, I know our chief, that decision was made, and I see why, because I can't get up there and discuss the situation and then still maintain media, maintain officers, maintain that outside integrity of the scene. But I know that we had a situation just after I got this position, and Ryan, you were out there, and the chief was out there, and I went up there. I was up there with you on the situation, and I was still a part of it. The chief has graciously allowed that for me to, because he knows it's a passion of mine. He knows that we mesh well. Team 3 is, Team 3.
Well, and you've been through all the training.
Yeah, and it had to be done. But that allowed for Timmy to put a letter in and get on. So, I mean, where one door closes, Timmy just walks right through that one.
Yep, break through it down. That's a fact.
Good for you. See, family first.
family
first.
I do think we need to talk about what has created this environment, in my opinion, and what I'm talking about is how police culture has changed. Because when I first got hired on the police department, we didn't have any of this. We definitely dealt with people with mental health issues. Probably not to the extent that we do today, but it's also probably the fact that we didn't recognize it like we do today is another facet of that.
That makes sense.
But as a police officer, especially when I first got hired, the way that the mindset of the police officer was different, and it was like, we are crime fighters. That's all we do. We fight crime. We don't want to sit here and deal with people. If you're acting out, you're going to jail. And that was kind of the mindset. And I learned early on, luckily, I had a very veteran field training officer who, and I'll give him a shout out. It was Sergeant Keith May. He trained me for a month. And one of the things I remember him telling me, we ended up we had to fight a guy that was in crisis. I don't know if it was a mental health issue. I can't remember what it was about, but Keith tried so hard to talk that guy down. He tried so hard, and he just kept talking to him, and he just stayed calm the whole time. And he just really used his words. He had a calm voice, and he's like, "Man, we don't want to put our hands on you. Will you please come out here?" And they ended up having to go hands on with the guy. But when it was all said and done, we were in the car together, and he's like, "Listen to me." He goes, "If you want a full career down here, you can't fight everybody. You have to try to talk to people, and you have to treat them like a human." And you need to treat them with respect, and then most of the time they'll see it your way.
Mm-hmm.
He goes,
very true.
Because otherwise, if you fight every person that is amped up, you're going to get hurt, and then you're going to have a short career down here. And anyway, that stuck with me. And so when all this come about, and I started getting into supervision, those were the things that through my career as a patrolman that I also used when I would go on calls and stuff. I would learn that it's like I'm going to try to talk this person as much as I can and try to get them to see it my way and work with me instead of me having to put my hands on them or force them or take them to jail. If somebody is amped up, everybody has emotions. And if you can work through that and try to calm their emotions down and just try to see clear, you can usually get them to do what you need to do. So anyway, that became important to me. We started doing de-escalation stuff, and that was where it was like, hey, this is something I've done my whole career.
Yeah.
And so I jumped on it. I took the opportunity
natural.
And seized it. Yeah. And that was whenever it was basically an option for me. I jumped on it because I'm like, this is something I've done my whole career. It's kind of comes natural to me, and so I just kind of went with it and kind of flourished.
Yeah, and then here we are.
Right.
And that's the thing, too. Timmy, you and I have talked lengthy about this, and Terry, you'll understand it, too, from when people just come into your facility. We see people on their worst day.
That's a
like
fact.
we are
Absolutely.
there
Yep.
when
Yep.
everything is broken.
Yep.
And we are walking into a very volatile, and it may be something small for you and for me, and it may be everything to them.
Yeah.
I know when we teach classes, I go around the room and I say, what is a crisis state? And I tell them, well, don't say California, or don't say, like with all the fires and stuff like that, things like, what is a crisis state? And people will go from one extreme to a flat tire on the side of the road,
Yep.
or, divorce,
Yep.
losing your job, or like the double whammy, like you lost your job and your spouse left you, and on the way home you got a flat tire. I mean, it could be huge and monumental for somebody, whereas like getting a traffic ticket or something like for a seatbelt may not be big for you or for me or for anybody, but there's different dynamics,
right.
And so we see people on their worst days, and we have to have that heart. You have to realize that this Lawton police, or just police officer in general, it doesn't have to be Lawton police officer, but it's a career.
Absolutely.
it provides a paycheck. You provide a service for the citizens in the community in Lawton, and we're human.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ryan, you're right. That de-escalation, that talking, that even just the nonverbal communication is just it echoes
Absolutely.
with everybody. And then Terri, when people come in there for you guys, if we can de-escalate and we can treat them like a human being that is going through crisis, I mean, that goes way further for you guys down the line, because they're at they're not a race car in the red. They're in neutral, and you guys can work with that.
Right. They don't come in ready to fight. They're
Right.
more apt to be ready to talk and accept help. And even if they need to just rest for a while and eat, that's fine. Go do that, and then we'll talk. So it makes a world of difference.
I agree.
I think it helps also with the community in general, because if we get a call on somebody, they're saying my uncle he's tearing up the house, he is losing it, we don't know what to do, depending on how that goes, he can either go to jail, or we can work with him and try to bring him out of his crisis, because we don't know what's causing that crisis.
Right.
And so that's the first thing we have to do, is we have to determine what is causing this, and then we have to try to calm him down. But what we can't do is show up on the scene and then add to that. Now, our presence naturally adds to that, unfortunately,
Right.
because of the way society views us. But we have to be able to overcome that first. And then once we can overcome that, if we can just try to get to where it's like, look, hey, I'm not here as an authority figure trying to control you. I'm here. I'm really trying to help you. Let me figure out what's going on, and let's see if we can do whatever's best for everybody here. Your family's really upset right now. You're tearing up your own property. It's not a crime if it's your own property, so I'm not trying to take you to jail. I just need to figure out what it is that I need to do to help you and see if we can work through this or whatever. And then if we can do that, what I've done is I have created rapport with that gentleman, as in not necessarily rapport, but I've created sort of a little bit of a trust with him, to where at least if it isn't just law enforcement in general, because it's probably not, but at least me. And then it's like he can think to himself, well, at least I know that
Right.
this officer right here, and hopefully the next one is like him. But then the family sees it too.
Right.
And so what my job sort of is, and I'm not just saying just me, but what I try to do is I try to teach other officers how to do that also.
100%.
And that's not necessarily 100% my job. It's our department in general. But I am one of the people that I am trying to push this, like on the de-escalation, the CIT, and all that, because that's what I want. That's what pretty much society is pretty much demanding of us, and they should.
Well,
Absolutely.
100%.
And Timmy, this is soon to be your bread and butter. I mean, this is what
absolutely.
you are going to what you went to school for. Congratulations, by the way,
Thank you.
on
I
your
appreciate
master's.
it.
That
I
was
appreciate
a
that.
very long journey. I know that when I was in training, you were working on that
Yes.
heavily.
Heavily.
And so congratulations. You
thank you,
walked
thank
to
you.
last year, right?
This past May.
This past May.
Past
Yeah.
May, yes.
And I know that you and Terri have worked a lot together. And to piggyback off what Ryan is saying, that partnership that you build with that person in crisis or that consumer, that bleeds over to Taliaferro,
Yep.
Absolutely.
and that bridging that gap. And then if we have law enforcement that's working on that, Timmy, with your degree, I think that is very much all roads lead to that reassurance and to that trust. And I think if we can do that, Terri, with with Taliaferro, you guys last week have made it even more of a convenience for police with your expansion.
Yeah, we expanded our URC to a URC is an urgent recovery clinic, and it's for mental health and substance crises. It's kind of a quick turnaround, 23-hour, 59 unit ish place where people can come, and they're assigned to chairs. They're not put in a room. They're not put inpatient right then. They get evaluated. They need to eat. They can eat. They'll be able to take a shower. We have showers in this one. And so we went to the 12 chairs, and I think we have we can do a total of 16 at a time if we need to, but one may be coming in and one may be going out, so it stays pretty fluid. The thing that it was important to me was to build some things in for law enforcement, that as they come and bring people, a place where they can just pull into, not have to go very far to get people in the door, not have to get rained on. That's like one of my favorite things. I don't know if it matters to you guys, but I love the
awning that you guys have put up there.
It is.
Yeah, when that was going in,
nice.
Terry's like, we need an awning because the officers don't like rain. Is that your thought process?
They'll melt. They'll all melt.
Yes,
all melt.
yes.
That
melt.
was it. And it's like, then how are we going to make it in
That's
this
a fact.
society?
That's a
Like,
fact.
It's
Very
not going to
important.
happen.
Like, go on, guys. It's Cloud
So,
Town.
Very important.
Since the law has changed on the transport issue, how has that affected you? Is it working fine, or is it a negative?
Well, we have the people that'll come in and take folks over to inpatient or what they need to do. So it hasn't really affected us too much, but that leads into the mobile response team, the mobile crisis teams, which coming through 988, we can deploy to a lot of crises that you guys wouldn't even have to go to if they're coming through 988. So we can handle a lot of that, and we increased a lot of people by doing that and kind of taking law enforcement out of it for the ones that we can. 988 will ask, they'll do a safety check. Are there guns? Are there this? Are there that? If it's safe, they'll just send us. And then if we get out there and somebody's standing on the porch with a gun, I'm like, y'all get out of there.
Absolutely.
Call law enforcement. They'll come out.
Well, and then let our viewers. There's no cameras in here. Let our listeners. Not yet. We're working on that. Let our listeners know. You mentioned 988. Can you kind of break that down for them, as for those who may not know about what 988 is?
So
Because it's fairly new.
Yes.
Is it a year?
About a
in
year.
July?
Right about a year.
About a
Is
year.
that about right?
Mhm.
It is a really great service for anybody who, if they need someone to talk to, there's somebody on that other end to talk to. There is, they'll triage the calls and deploy mobile crisis teams if they need to. They'll try to de-escalate and provide resources if they're able to do that. You can call it, you can text it, you can do it, adults, kids, it doesn't matter. Anywhere you live in the state, you can call it. And it's been a lifesaver. We've heard some success stories of it being a lifesaver for some of our folks, and that's been a critical piece too.
And everyone from local levels, as far as law enforcement, with the mental health community, as far as from you guys in Taliaferro, and even on the state level, they're pushing for the better, whether it be for the consumer, for the mental health employee, or for the police officer, to try to make this work the best for everyone.
Absolutely.
Well, and like as Captain was saying earlier, even if you go to a mental health crisis that we believe or dispatch or something receives as a mental health crisis, we get there, that person may be in crisis, but it may not be a mental health crisis. It may be a crisis of, hey, I got 4 kids and have no food in the home.
Right.
But we've learned to, through all these partnerships and resources, we've gotten more resources just even outside of the Taliaferro, the 988s. Because if I don't know where to go, I can call Taliaferro and say, hey, I have a person in crisis, but it's not a mental health crisis. It's a crisis of, like I said, need another resource out there to help them with maybe bills or something of that nature. But these partnerships that we've established, we've also got more resources for people in crisis, whatever the crisis may be at that time.
And getting those people out of that crisis, and then hopefully turning them around.
Absolutely.
And it may not be something where it's like turn their life around, I would say, but situation where they come up. Honestly, I don't have enough fingers and toes to talk about how many times someone has come up to me and mentioned you, Tim, specifically. Like, Tim Jenkins did this for me, Officer Jenkins did this for me. And Ryan, the same way. People will come up and talk about those officers with that skill set or that criteria. I mean, to just help those people out. I mean, the stories that you just won't hear.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've talked to you before. I've sent you emails like, hey, this popped up on my Facebook feed
yes,
or something
yes.
like that. And you're like, oh, my gosh, I totally forgot about that.
Forget about that.
And, you know, the amount of officers that you guys have helped as well with crisis intervention training, it's just, I think in the mental health community and just Southwest Oklahoma in general, I think that our partnership just speaks volumes for the rest of the state.
I would
And
agree. We were the first hub.
That's fact.
Yeah, the first step. And I think that people may not see it.
They don't know that.
Consumers may not see
don't know
that
that.
in crisis, but I think if they take a step back and look and listen, then maybe that will help them see that, yes, I mean, we are trying, but it's just a slow process.
It is.
Laws are ever changing. The 43A is definitely something that that is constantly evolving in the mental health world. So we're trying to keep up, and I think that our partnership does definitely help that a lot.
Something I'm assuming you're going to have a lot of listeners that are just citizens and they have no idea on some of the things that we're talking about. I think it's important that they understand that if, say, an officer shows up and they do use like an iPad, or if they're just talking to you and they feel like, hey, you probably need to go talk to somebody, the process is you're not being arrested. The officer is going to transport you to Taliaferro, which is another subject is on how you pronounce that, because
That's a fact every time.
Tolliver.
Yeah. So, but anyway,
How do you say it?
I say Taliaferro, but
I say Taliaferro.
Yeah.
I say Taliaferro.
Taliaferro wins in this room.
Yep.
There
Fair.
we go.
Listeners, let us know.
But I want to say it was what Senator Jim Tolliver is who created it.
Yes.
So it's he pronounces it Tolliver. It's the way it's spelled. It looks like it would be phonetically Taliaferro.
Right.
I would say to have our listeners, write in which way, but I guess if they write it, it looks the same, and it just depends on how you say it, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So, guys and girls, listen in if you, let us know.
I heard an ad on the radio the other day, or somebody was talking about it, and they called it the Taliaferro Center or something like that. And I'm like, well, if they're saying it, then
That's what
if
it is.
we're all in accord,
Yeah.
if we're all in accord in this room that it's Taliaferro, listeners, if you think that it's wrong, then email us at lawtonpdpio@lawtonok.gov and just say, that's wrong.
That's wrong.
Y'all are saying it wrong.
We know what you're talking about.
And then maybe I'll give you a shout out on the next episode when we all meet. So,
and I have met a relative that he still pronounces his name Tolliver.
Yeah.
So I mean, and I can't argue. If that's how you say your name, that's how you say your name.
Absolutely.
I've had people argue with me about how I say my name, and it's like, well, it's my name. I'm choosing to say it this
Jesus.
way.
That's funny.
But
It's Ryan.
no,
That's
Studebaker.
Oh, okay.
Ryan,
That's funny.
you put the emphasis on the wrong syllable, Tim.
Emphasis.
Anyway, so we if an officer brings you to Taliaferro,
Oliver.
you're going to speak to a
So
how would you what's their technical title?
So they'll be greeted by a mental health tech who will take
Okay.
property and wand and just kind of check for safety,
Yes.
because we don't want any knives, guns, whatever coming in onto the unit. And then they'll talk with a licensed mental health professional who will decide
Kind
if
of like evaluate.
they need to go inpatient, or if we can just do some safety plan and some resource building and send them back out to their community.
And that's always a fear that I hear. I'm sorry, Captain, but that's always a fear I hear as well, is that they want to go, but they're scared they're going to have to stay there. So I try to explain that to them as well. Like, that's may or may not, but yes, that's very important to that little aspect. If you may just get a safety plan and go home, come back home.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I feel like it's fairly often that's usually what happens. I mean, I would almost say 50% of the time. Of course, it's been a long time since I've actually been a person that, took someone to Taliaferro, but from my history, it seemed like about half the time, somebody would end up getting a safety plan, and then we could take them home.
And the tablets help out tremendously with that.
Yeah.
Maybe they just need a safety plan, or maybe they need to set up an appointment with their doctor and they can't get through, and then they're able to do that, and the crisis for them is done.
Done.
Yeah. And it also depends on the type of crisis. Obviously, if it was someone who tried to commit suicide and we know for sure they tried to commit suicide, that's different than somebody who is just having a mental crisis and they don't know how to control their emotions. So that's different. But yeah, there can be. It's not a guarantee that if a police officer takes you to Taliaferro that you're going to go into inpatient.
That's correct.
And then not only that, even if you went and you got set up on a safety plan, I actually had a friend that I took to Taliaferro because he was schizophrenic and he was having an episode, and I took him to Taliaferro, and they set up counseling appointments with him at another location, and they gave him like a therapist. I'm sorry if I'm using the terminology wrong.
You're good.
Correct him, Tim.
Yeah, go ahead and correct me because I don't know what.
No, sir, you're good.
Anyway,
Say how you want to say it.
they set up appointments with him, and then I would take him to those appointments, and he would talk to somebody, and so I got to learn from that side of it, kind of like how it works. And so I try to tell people all the time that it's not about you going and locking you up or anything. It's trying to help you.
It is. We have a lot of resources. I think that the community sees it as only inpatient, and we have so many services. It's unbelievable, and they just keep coming. We just keep growing and growing and growing. Just by leaps and bounds, we have trouble hiring enough people
Oh, I believe it.
to be able to do the things that we need to do. So to triage through what people really need in the community as they come in, we really have to look at it and talk to them and find out and do the best we can do. So it's very promising. It's also
Rewarding. I gotta.
rewarding, and it's also frustrating because sometimes it's like, I really need to help this person and I don't have this, it's all kinds of things. Just, you guys run into things.
Oh, yeah.
We run into things, but our goal is not to put people on an inpatient unit. Our goal is to help them feel safe enough to go back into the community.
Yeah.
The new URC is comfortable on the inside, so it's not scary.
Right.
That was my hope, is that people come in and it wouldn't look as scary as some of the other places do. We did also add 3 more beds on our inpatient unit.
Oh, wow.
We're trying really hard to keep people from our community in our community and not have to send them off.
And that's another fear that people have. They don't want to, like you said, you send somebody to a whole other city and they have to figure out new life, new cope, and new facility, even that. And so that's a fear they have. So
that's our goal. Our goal is to keep people out of the ERs. Our goal is to keep people in our community. And our goal is to help people with the things they need help with.
And that is a hurdle we always had to cross whenever we'd run into somebody on patrol. Would be people would tell us, they'd say, I'm willing to go to Taliaferro. I do not want to go to the hospital.
Yep.
And because they have to sit in the ER for 2 or 3 hours, and they
Sometimes
just,
days.
I am not going. They're like, you can take me to Taliaferro. I am not going to the hospital.
Yep.
And then if we found, it was like, well, I have to get you medically cleared. That's where the fight would begin. And I don't mean physical fight, but the argument with
that resistance.
Yes.
And so now we don't, in the past, it was almost always a medical clearance. I think is that what I
for a long time.
And a lot of times
but it's reasonable.
You need it. Yes, absolutely.
But it's not always.
No,
and
not
so
always.
we try to not do medical clearance if we don't have to.
Right.
I mean, if somebody comes in with a broken arm, obviously we've got to send them, and hopefully you guys would go ahead and take them.
Yeah.
Of course.
But our nurse will evaluate that when someone comes, and we just kind of take it from there.
So what year was it that they changed the law on the transporting within outside of 30
It was
miles?
just after COVID, because I know during COVID we were transporting.
Yes, I want to say
we were transporting people
21, 22.
to.
So I'm not sure if I was thinking it was fairly recent, but then I started thinking about it, and I was like, since we've been at the new station, I can't
Just
remember.
about 3 years.
Yeah. So anyway, we used to have to transport people to Fort Supply almost on a daily basis.
Yes.
And that would tie up 2 officers for pretty much a whole shift.
Just or McAllister.
Yes,
McAllister.
Yeah.
I say McAllister.
You
Tolliver.
guys can call in on
the
that
wrong
one
syllable.
too.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just, and so that alleviated with that and changing that alleviated that to where we wouldn't have to transport. But there's also transport services now
Yes.
that I don't know, they're privately owned or through the state,
They're privately owned.
but they do that as well. So I think it all goes back to us working together to find that I mean, we're all trying to get to that same finish line as a combined effort.
Yeah, that was a huge
That was
strain
huge.
on our staffing whenever we would have to transport. I didn't know if that law affected you in a negative way or anything when they changed it and they said anything outside of 30 miles, that local jurisdiction is not responsible for that transport, which it helped us immensely. But I didn't know if on the other side of that coin, if it affected you negatively or not.
It ended up working out. The department got the transportation company going, and it's just been a beautiful thing. Again, it's another really good partnership, and if we didn't have the partnerships, not any of us could do it.
Well, and I think that's, like I said before, great job to you guys, to, you and your staff at Taliaferro, the guys on the PD.
Thank you.
They're having to work that because that information that they put forward, Corey calls in once a month, and we give him the either quarterly or monthly inpatients, like how many people we took into custody for that to transport to Taliaferro. And so he's constantly running numbers. He's constantly running stats to make those needed changes for the future, for our updated instructors classes and things like that. So I think it's a really good job on all parties to get to that finish line. And I truly appreciate the work that you've been able to do with us. I know in the past there's been times where you've called me and asked me some questions on the way that some of the officers had to operate through some of this, and I've asked you questions on the way that the mental health professionals had to operate, and then we've just worked through it. I mean, there's no butting heads that I can recall at any point in time. So
I've called Ryan, help me understand this because I don't get it.
Well, you're not law enforcement, so then it's just like us with the mental health.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I was going to say, and that's how I prefer it. Is instead of someone making an assumption or whatever, call me and let me explain to you our process or our reasoning of why we're doing something. And if you see a flaw in that, tell me. And that's how I want it. So if there's something going on or something that's affecting you negatively that I can tweak to help you where it doesn't affect me negatively, then I'm all about it.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. So that's that's a really high level of trust that I'm going to get an answer that, number one, I can understand,
Right.
and number two, that I can really trust, and then I can pivot and go back to my teams with it however I need to go.
So I think the bottom line, what the listeners need to take from this, Tim, you said earlier, we're here to help. I mean, that's the bottom line. Police officer, mental health professional, we want to get the civilians, the citizens, and the community that we serve the help, whether it be someone in their elderly ages or someone as a juvenile. We want to get them their help. You said they slip through the cracks. And I think that this topic with all of us partnering together has done just that. And so it's working really well. All right, well, let's go into this next segment. Still work in progress on titles, everybody. We'll call it Week in Review. This last week, as far as PD-wise, I know that we had a number of events. We had the Friday night, the Operation Safe Stop with the Autism Awareness Foundation, and we had officers that would go out there to VOTEC and people that were working with autism to come out there and actually get a traffic stop, like a mock traffic stop done,
Right.
to where they know how to respond, and more importantly, how our officers know how to respond. And we had a good group come out. I want to say maybe there's maybe 20 people that came out, and we did mock traffic stops that night. And KSWA was out there covering it. Texas Roadhouse was out there, and they brought good rolls.
Best part about Texas Roadhouse.
I mean, right. Other than the line dancing and the peanuts and the steak and pretty much everything. But anyway, they brought the rolls, and it was great. Had a good time, and that went from 5 to 7. It was a really good turnout. And then to jump back immediately the next day, we had the Frost Your Fanny run. They had the Toys for Tots run, or not the run, the Toys for Tots drive delivery, and the actual Frost Your Fanny run, and that was in works with the Holiday in the Park parade. So it's weird that Thanksgiving and Christmas is just next week.
Literally, New Year's is the week after.
Man, it just flies by.
Yeah, and they, I had the opportunity. I say opportunity because it's always fun to work those parades. You get my job this last year was to walk up and down 2nd Street, all of it, all of it. Timmy was on a bicycle, and so I didn't see you until the very end. I guess you were down by the
mall.
Now it's the Central Plaza, the old mall, and you were around all the floats. And then Ryan, you were just, I guess, cruising the entirety, right?
I mostly walked it. I was in the park.
Oh wow!
I saw Ryan in a car.
At the very beginning, we went around the
when I was on foot.
I was like,
look at that guy!
Look at that guy!
Just driving around.
He's got his perks.
How cool, man! I walked from 3rd Street from the entrance to the mall.
Okay,
that's a mall.
Back,
that's a walk.
Back to Ferris.
That's a move.
And then to Gore, into Ferris, and to Gore. I'd walk up the east side and like down the west side. I probably got 8 miles.
Oh, easily
on my step counter.
I think I did too. It was like 7.9 miles. I checked. I looked at my watch whenever I was done.
I was like, here we go. And
I did it today.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize how much I had walked when we just kept going up and down through the park on 3rd Street.
And there were so many people.
Yes.
That's the best part about it.
I didn't even get into the park to see how many people were in the park.
Couldn't imagine.
But I don't think there was one spot along the curb on 3rd Street that goes through the park. I don't think there was one spot for you to sit down because there was somebody sitting in
prairie dogs
all the
complaining.
way along down that. Yeah.
Prairie dogs complaining. Terry, you didn't go to the parade though, did you?
I did not. I had supper with my brother, and I tried to get him to turn down Fort Steele Boulevard, but he chose to not do that and went on down to get in the big middle of all the traffic. So I just sat quietly in the car as he tried to maneuver around. And then once we got out of there, I got to say, I told you so, and all that good stuff. But
always the best part.
It was congested.
Oh, it was, oof. Yeah.
Well, and then I'll even give this shout out. Lieutenant McCallick.
Great job.
He is over traffic division, and then he also is like the special events coordinator, I guess I would say. So like the Armed Forces Day parade, the this event, the Holiday in the Park parade, the
International
Festival, anything that has to do with something like that, he is generally the one that kind of oversees it. And I know after a while they kind of fall into place, but there's always these little things that come up. And he did a great job. I know his blood pressure was a little high that night. He told me, but but I told him, I was like, you know what, it is what it is at this point. Yeah. Everybody that came out seemed to have a really good time. I never got so many fist bumps and high fives and hugs.
They love it. They love it.
What a great feeling to be a police officer and have that.
Yes.
One kid told me to do a backflip as I'm walking. I was.
Yeah.
No.
Did you do
That's a fair question.
It is a fair question.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
I looked at that kid and I was like, do a what? And they said, do a backflip. And I was like, you first.
Yeah.
And they did not.
Nope.
And and then there was a kid on a skateboard and he tried to get me to skateboard. And I said, I don't need a broken arm. Yeah. I need to finish this shift. But I had a great time. Timmy, you were riding on the bike.
I did.
And did you bunny hop?
No, my partner, I'll give him a shout out since we're giving shout outs all day long. Detective Josh Gardner was told to do a wheelie on his bike, and he tried, and it didn't work out so well for him in the end. So he gave a lot of people a lot of laughs. He crashed. Yes, terribly.
He's okay though, right?
Oh no, he's perfectly fine. He laughed. It was hilarious. It was hilarious.
Did he? So, do you guys worry about that in the parades?
We do. It's always, but we train for it. So when we do our bike team trainings, we train for parades. That's very obviously.
I thought you just like trained like when you crash. Like
no. Well, I mean, you train to crash too.
I would just lay there.
Yep, you train how to fall. So
you would have to come over and be like, Charlie. I'd be like, just get the ambulance.
Just go without me.
Yeah, just push me over to the side. They'll think it's Bobby.
That's true.
You know, I have that out. But so do you? I know you guys train a lot. The bike school is no joke either.
It's no joke at all. No,
it's a lot of riding, a lot of running.
A lot of running. Yes. Yes.
And Yeah, I always think about that. I'm like, man, what happens like if the motor guys like
I was
if
going
you
to say,
if you're
what about the motorcycles?
Motorcycle, same way.
same thing. You know, those guys were doing figure eights and big circles.
Yes.
Not me.
Not me,
Like
yeah.
I would say, no. I'll
That's
just
why-
lead the parade with the motorcycle. I mean,
why I chose
but
the bicycle.
they go through so much training with that too,
Yes,
and they do
yes.
great things.
You want to talk
but
about a tough school.
that?
I went and watched those guys, and I try to tell people all the time when they talk about how I'd want to be a motorcycle cop or whatever, or that would be an easy job or something like. I don't think you realize
They
the
don't.
school they go through.
Yes.
I would.
And it is. I went to. I think they had it on Fort Sill.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I think like Brad Davis was still either on the department or just helping with the training, whatever. And
Shout out to Brad Davis.
And holy cow, I could not believe how challenging that looked. And I was like, that's not a joke. I can definitely see
100%.
failing on
Because
that.
you have to be constantly looking back and forth everywhere because you're on two wheels.
Well,
and
the room the room
maneuvers.
for
The
error
maneuver
is
is
almost. I mean, it's
none.
so minor. They'll put them in little boxes and make them do circles in these super
Oh,
tight boxes.
wow.
And if you don't enter that box at the perfect angle, you're not going to get it.
Wow.
And
Just
so
like a
when I
bicycle.
was watching that, I was like, wow, okay, I can understand why people would fail this. Then
Timmy didn't need a motor on his.
I am the motor.
Who was it one year that we were at a parade and they were riding and they tried to do like a kick deal or something on the side of the bike and
That was me.
and you
Thanks for that. Just for giving a shout out. That was me. Yep. Just give a shout out. That was me. That was me.
tell our listeners what happened on that, Tim.
I was trying to do a maneuver on my bicycle. You know, and kids love bicycle cops. People love bicycle cops, and so they're yelling at you to do things. I was young once, and so I'm like, I'm gonna do it. And I tried to put my leg on one side of the bicycle to do like a little serpentine maneuver. And when I did, I leaned over too much weight on the other side of the bicycle. And so I crashed in front of a group of soldiers that were marching, and they broke their chants and formation and was laughing. And it was a good
man.
time. It was great. So I've learned my lesson to not do any more shout out bicycle maneuvers. So
Oh, wow.
Hence, I did not backflip.
that's a fact.
yeah,
See, and I don't know those things, so it was a fair question.
That's a fair
Okay,
question.
Terry, I cannot do a backflip unless I get hit by a car. Is the only time you're going to see me do a backflip. I don't think there's a physical way that I could do a backflip.
Hit by a car.
I am not that limber.
Okay.
I mean, I'll try.
By a car.
Will
Maybe.
you?
I'm not right here, but I'll practice and try once. The next time I see you, I'll just do a backflip in uniform.
Backflip.
I
In
won't
uniform.
even believe
Ooh, that's
it.
even more
At one of the
impressive.
tryouts or
In
something.
uniform, yes.
Yeah.
That's even more impressive.
So
So that day of the holiday in the park, I was working. I worked from 6:45 in the morning until 4:45, and right before I want to say, I don't know, like 2 o'clock or something. I think McCallick had texted me, and he's like, "Hey, would you be willing to work holiday in the park with me?" He's like, "I'm short a person. I had somebody that was going to be with me, and they can't make it now. They called in sick." And I said, "Yeah, I'll do it."
Bobby,
And
Just to give a shout out.
yeah, I was
shout
gonna
out
leave
to
him out of
Bobby.
it.
Glad you're better. I'm glad you're better, Bobby. My
But I
twin
remember,
pain was there.
Kind of like on a Office Space or something, like last minute is what it kind of felt. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And then as I get closer, it's like, I'm so tired. I don't know. I probably shouldn't have done this. But anyway, I'm glad I did. When we were walking up and down 3rd Street, it was so cool to see like all the kids wanted high fives and stuff like that.
Knuckles.
Yeah, knuckles, high fives, and it was just, I don't get that very often.
That's
You know
a
what I
fact.
mean? I'm so used to either having
But you're
having
more
to deal
admin.
with. Yeah, that part's true. But usually, when I have to deal with somebody, they're upset. You know what I mean? They're upset with they want to complain on somebody, or they want to complain about a situation or whatever. And so that I feel like I'm more customer service. And it's usually when somebody's calling me, it's not because they're happy. And so it was really nice to get to see that side again that I haven't been able to see in a while, where I'm in public and people actually want to come up to me and say hi and shake my hand or give me fist bumps or something. So that it was really neat.
Very cool.
I know I talked to some of the other, just given the position, some other detectives that don't normally work the patrol shifts. They came out and they worked because obviously with the amount of people that were out there, we needed coverage in certain areas. So I know like Detective Walters came out, Detective Rucker came out, and I made contact with them throughout, and they just had the biggest smiles on their faces, and they were having such a good time. So it's really good. So shout out to Rucker and to Walters. Y'all did a great job out there. And then sorry about the traffic. I mean, it is what it is.
And I just enjoyed the ride through it.
Well, you
watching my brother stress out.
put up a couple of cones and people will.
Well, and
stress
that's
out.
actually another thing that I would want to say to like citizens in general is sometimes you forget what like as a community kind of comes together. Like, you know, you see something on TV and you watch all these things about Christmas or whatever, and you see a community do these like big events, and you're like, Lawton doesn't do that. And no, we do.
We do.
And they showed up.
And they show up.
It was huge.
For sure. I could not believe how many people were there. And it kind of actually was like shame on me for feeling like we don't do this enough, or that, and I don't partake in it. You know, I did it because I was on duty. And then after I did it, I was like, this is really neat. You know, like I should come to events like this.
Ryan's gonna start working these events with us, Tim. There's very few and far between that Timmy and I don't work.
That's a fact. I think I do every major event.
Y'all get
I'm
to
there.
see it.
I love it, and again, I love people, but also like you guys were saying, that the citizens don't see that side of us, and so being able to work these events and then just go make contact with them and connect with them, I do want to give a shout out to them. Just say thank you, because again, Lawton has not always gotten that good rep of being able to do things like that and come together. But when we put on events and programs and officers work it makes me feel even more sense of greatness to being a part of Lawton and being from Lawton, because you guys come out and you guys participate and make it a good time for me. So I do want to give you guys a shout
our
out.
community with, law enforcement, I think that they do such a great job, like Tim was saying, and I think we have that great partnership, and the ability to build on that is to build that bridge and keep that going.
Keep it going.
Is great, because there's, like I said, Timmy, Ryan, there's people that will talk about you guys positively.
Yeah.
And I may not always tell you,
Right.
but I mean, when I do this, there's always like, hey, how's Ryan doing? Oh, he's great. He's got that going on. Timmy came out on this other call, and to have that positive feedback, Timmy, you're right. To see that in action, Ryan, yeah, shame on you. Can you do a backflip?
I cannot do a backflip.
Yeah.
Can you do it? Can you pop a wheelie?
On a mountain bike, probably not. on a BMX bike,
Fair enough.
There's some questions, Ryan.
Here we go.
Now that you bring this up,
yeah, that's a good
and
point.
another thing,
That's a good point.
we talk about rapid fire Q&A online a lot. Timmy, we just did one with you the other day.
Yes.
Hasn't aired yet.
No, but it's fun.
But I'm saving it.
Okay, perfect.
I'm
Thank
saving
you.
it. It's like a 2-minute, 3-minute one, and usually those are about a minute long. So Terry, what we do is on our Facebook, we do what's called rapid fire Q&A, and I'll grab a mic and mic up an officer, and then I'll just ask them random questions that I have. I say random, ones that I have here already, but it tells us a little bit about them, and it's got to be quick. So Ryan can't do a backflip. So
there's my interesting fact about myself.
So there's one.
There's one. There you go. There you
Ryan,
go.
would you be interested and or willing to participate in rapid fire Q&A?
I don't think I have a lot of choice here, so
I mean, you can say no,
Got me on the spot.
but it won't matter.
It won't matter.
Let's say, Ryan, what hobbies do you have when you're not at work?
pretty much anything. I would say car related.
You're a gearhead.
I am a gearhead. I'm a little bit of like a jack of all trades. Like I try to work on anything. So carpentry stuff, car stuff is my favorite. And I do everything from, build engines. I built a whole truck from everything: suspension work, transmission, rear end. Built the engine, put a turbo on it. Everything. So that's kind of my passion. And then I just learned to start doing paint and body work. So I just painted my first vehicle, and it took a long time to do it. And
you took the class
out at Votech.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow. Did not know that. Wow.
Ryan kind of started my passion for older cars as well.
That's
so
fair.
A little shout out to Ryan. And then side note, hobby. You like OU?
I do.
Yeah. Ryan doesn't talk college football with me because he just doesn't like. He's like, no, Charlie wouldn't really care for OU football. So
really care.
Well,
NFL.
it's funny. It's because like I don't have the same hobbies as probably like most men do. So if I find another gearhead, it's like we click.
Yeah.
So if I go to a party or something, there's two things that you'll get my attention with. You can talk to me about OU football, or you can talk to me about cars, and we can sit next to each other, and it's like click, you know.
Did we just become best friends?
Right. Yeah.
Yup. What was your first job?
I believe it was working at Yost Furniture. I was a furniture delivery guy.
Oh wow, that was a long time ago.
It was.
I know.
I think I started when I was 15. And then for sure 16, because I had a driver's license. I remember I was driving the truck.
Yeah, you weren't
towards the
driving
beginning.
before that.
No.
So do you prefer text or phone calls?
I think it depends on how long it is. So that one kind of depends.
And who it is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's kind of the same.
I would say mostly text. But if you ask me a question that I need more context with or something, then I want a phone call.
What's your favorite food?
Probably Italian.
Okay.
What dish?
What dish? Thank you, Tim. Pizza.
Chicken fettuccine Alfredo.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any chicken fettuccine Alfredo. So let's get a little more rapid here. I'm sorry. How long you been on PD?
21 years.
What's your favorite season? Don't say salt. Bump. Do I have a?
I hate to say this, but I have to say fall. Typically, I enjoy the spring, but because of football, then fall is my favorite season. But yeah, I like everything blooming in the spring. So.
About a fun fact about yourself, you can't do a backflip.
Can't do a backflip.
Tim, you can't?
I can't do a
Terri,
backflip.
Can you do a backflip?
Not anymore.
Oh, okay. Used to could.
Used to
could.
What's your best favorite?
I've got it.
Oh, go ahead.
I've got one. I used to, when I was in high school, I used to show cattle and pigs. So that's something you probably don't see super often.
Show cows?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And pigs.
Oh no, yeah. I always hear about people showing pigs, but I've
Showing horses, but
show a
cows
cow.
and
Show a
pigs.
cow.
Yeah.
Ovine.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yep.
Did you ever win?
Steers and heifers, yeah.
What do you win when you do that?
Steak.
Yeah, for life, or for a month.
Well, if you win the show, you can actually, you may get, I don't know, $1,500. It depends on the size of the show, because some of the bigger shows they pay quite well. Like,
Do you have to travel for that?
Yeah. Like Tulsa, Denver. I think Denver's the furthest that I've went, and then I think if you win the Denver show, it's like $200,000 or $250,000. Yeah, but it's a big deal, and you have to pay to get in. And then
Holy cow!
So for us, do your.
Oh wait, hang on. I don't know if I
Oh
can.
my gosh.
This
That's
Is this
so
it?
great.
There it
There
went.
you go.
I got to use it.
Yeah.
So you didn't go pro with that.
Oh no.
No.
But I think for most of the kids that are into like FFA and 4-H, where they usually get their money is they'll do a sell. It's I'm trying to think of what they call it. It's basically just people from the community will donate money on them, and it's they say it's for the animal, but really what it is, it's given back to the kids, because the kids
That's hard
they
work.
spend a lot of
know.
time
That's
and a
gotta
lot
be-
of money
man, that's
and
gotta
that
be-
stuff. A bonus sale, I think is.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, that taught me a lot about hard work, sticking with things. I want to say I think I did that for 6 years.
Wow.
And the amount of work that it took, and then because you every day, like 2-3 times a day, I'm down there with those animals. And tell me I can't think of anything else that kids would be involved in that would teach them that much responsibility.
Right.
Timmy, you had a paper route. Was yours?
I did. I can't
See,
compete
that's a
with
good
that.
Now you're like,
I
man,
can't compete with
That's
that.
still something, though.
Yeah. Okay. Fun
Sorry,
fact.
Sorry, not so rapid.
No, that's okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's
I really
interesting.
appreciate that. Best or favorite pizza topping?
I think I like Canadian bacon.
Canadian
Just a
bacon.
little bit different. I mean, I think pepperoni is the easy one, and I know you've talked about pineapple. I like Canadian bacon and pineapple.
Oof.
Yeah, sorry.
Timmy balling his fist.
That's
Which I guess that would be
disgusting.
kind of like a Hawaiian style.
Yes.
Yeah.
And,
What about your favorite holiday?
Oof.
All of them.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're in the middle of holiday season. You got a couple, 3,
Yeah,
4.
I guess I'll just
5.
say Christmas.
You guess.
My wife won't believe me.
Because are you bah humbug?
She calls me the Grinch.
Oh,
but
You're not a Grinch.
No, I'm not a Grinch.
Shout out to your wife. He's not a Grinch.
It's I think where the disconnect comes from is starting on November 1st. She wants to make the house
I knew it. Yep.
a holiday.
I knew it.
Let her.
I do.
It's not
You just
letting.
keep me out of it.
Yeah, it's not letting.
But
Yeah.
yeah, she totally transforms the house like on November 1st, and then I've got to put up Christmas lights, and she puts up a tree, and I'm like, it hasn't Thanksgiving is not even here.
We haven't
You're
given
correct.
thanks.
And that's how I see it is after Thanksgiving you do that.
Yes.
And for
Yes.
her, it's Christmas starts after Halloween.
You want to enjoy
Wow.
that stuff. You want to enjoy the tree. You want to enjoy.
and
all
I
that.
get that. I get that.
Not
So-
very rapid on.
So
the-
that's where I get the Grinch thing. I think is that because I'm like, it doesn't make sense to me. But I do get that you're doing a lot of work to put that up, so you want to enjoy it for a little bit longer.
Well, what's your favorite movie, Grinch?
My favorite movie in general.
Yeah.
How about I probably have a top 5, but I would say something like a Shawshank Redemption.
That's one that I will sit down and watch
That's a good one.
every
Yeah.
time. Yeah, every time.
I
Yeah.
do not like that movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
What's your favorite?
I got bored.
What?
It's long. That's
I
fair.
got bored in it.
That's fair.
I don't
It's
know.
such a
what my
quotable
favorite-
movie too.
That's
Yeah.
everybody quoting Shawshank.
Yeah.
Not me.
No, yeah, it's fair.
No, no.
No, we know where.
Not me. I don't know. I don't know what my I go through different seasons of movies.
That's what Timmy says.
Yep,
He does the
that's-
same
I'm-
thing.
That's me. Yep.
And then
That's
I
me.
go through, I don't want to see a movie, I'm going to watch a whole bunch of shows.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of off movies right now and I don't know.
Are there any shows that y'all are watching right now that you're like binge watching or something that just keeps you?
Shout out to Lioness.
Somebody
Oh,
else, we
yeah.
haven't watched that yet, but I heard it was really good. I
It's
think we're
really
gonna try
good.
that. So we
Really
watched
good.
Landman
Oh,
the other
I
day.
see.
There's 2
I'm
episodes.
interested in
It's
it.
good. It's good. It's worth it.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
Yeah. They what was the other one? Yellowstone
I like
just started back
Yeah,
up.
we
so
watched
we're,
it.
We're
We got
kind of
caught
into
up
that
on
one.
it.
Anything murder mystery though, my wife is in it. Like
See, I'm over that. now.
but I am too. Like
I'm over that.
if
yeah.
if we're getting ready to go to bed or something, we got an early morning. I'm like, hey, who did they not interview? And she's like, they haven't interviewed the husband yet. And I was like, he probably did it. Go to bed. And then
Just ruin it for her.
yeah. So then the next morning, like I'm having coffee, and she's like, and I was
Yep,
like,
just ruined. it.
husband did it, didn't he? And
Just
she's like,
ruined.
yes. Thanks, Ryan. Now we know a little more about you other than the backflip.
Well, now we know.
Yeah.
Don't ask me to do a backflip.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't do cartwheels
Now I
either.
know.
Or celebrate Christmas.
Really?
Final thoughts. Final thoughts about things coming up. Final thoughts about projects that you may think that the community needs to know about. And before I turn it over to you guys, I just want to let you guys out there listening know if there's something that does come up, you want to talk about it, or a topic that you think that may be important to you that you want to hear about, or if you want to tell us about Taliaferro and Tolliver, email me, lawtonpdpio@lawtonok.gov. Let us know your favorite Christmas movie. That's one that I'd like to know. So viewers,
very true.
listeners, sorry. I'd like to know, what are your favorite holiday movies? So lawtonpdpio@lawtonok.gov. Email me that. Let us know. Timmy, what do you think? Final thoughts?
That January 24th of 2025, we'll be doing our graduation for class 2024-21. So please, if you're a citizen in the community and you want to come out and see the officers that'll be serving your community and get to know a little bit about them and, introduce yourself, please do. I encourage that because, again, these are the guys and girls that you'll be seeing in your community, serving you and providing a service to the community and other people. So please definitely come out to that if you're able to. So, again, if you got any questions, I always put that in there as well. Give us a call, Training Vision, 580-581-3568. If you got anything about the training and the process or wanting to know about the cadets or what our application process is and what we're going to be doing, just give us a call.
Yeah. Terry, what do you think?
We talked about so many things. I think that one thing that I would like to say is we will be working on a family-style URC for children, and a guardian will stay with them so we can try to get the kids out of the ERs. I can't imagine that's very fun for a child to have to sit in an ER or a guardian. So I'll be working on that now that we have gotten moved back in our new location. If you guys have any questions, just give us a call and ask. We've got so much going on that it's impossible to cover it all, because I appreciate the partnership with LPD, and I think it's just been a great thing that continues to grow. And thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And, you know, the partnership, Cameron, thank Cameron
Yes.
for this is great, allowing us to get this message out. And Ryan, what do you got over there?
So NHTSA, which is the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, is starting the Drive Sober campaign. And it's basically trying to find a way to reduce like fatality collisions, especially involving any type of alcohol impairment or any other type of like even narcotic impairment. So with holidays coming up, we obviously want everybody to stay safe. The Lawton Police Department does participate in that campaign, and we work with the Oklahoma Highway Safety Office also. So we will have officers that will be out patrolling, and we will do like a saturation patrol here and there throughout the holidays, looking for people who are driving while they are impaired, especially on alcohol. And then we're going to try to prevent people from causing any type of collision that would hurt somebody or create a fatality. So please, I would ask anybody that if you do plan on drinking, make sure that you have a designated driver. You could also use an Uber or something like that, or call a friend. But whatever you do, if you start to feel like you are impaired in any way, please do not get behind the wheel of a vehicle.
It's too easy to call a designated driver now. I mean, you have Uber, you have
Yes.
you know, friends and family. It's
There's no excuse anymore.
Be safe.
Anything else? No?
If you know anybody that wants to be a Lawton police officer,
Apply.
please.
Yeah, Timmy, talk about that.
That's
the
actually a good
application,
point.
how to get all that going.
Yes, so we do accept applications all year round now. So again, like I said earlier, if you do know somebody or yourself want to become a police officer, please call us 580-581-3568. Again, 580-581-3568. Give us a call. You can go to our website, lawtonok.gov. On there, we have the application portal. Go to the police department section, our page, and then click on apply, and it'll take you to our portal. So again, if you don't want to jump the gun and get there too early, you want to know more about it, give us a call and we'll talk you through it. We'll tell you what you need to know, answer your questions. Obviously, it's a lot that goes into this profession, and a lot of people have a lot of questions, which is valid. So give us a call and we'll do our best to answer them for you before you get here.
Listeners, like I said, if there's something you want to hear, something that you want a topic, let us know. Lawton PD, PIO at lawtonok.gov. And until we meet again, you guys have a great week, and we'll bring you some more stuff real soon.